Please subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so that you will be notified every time I upload a video. Please also hit the thumbs up or down button to let me know which direction to go for future videos. Thanks. The reason Kevin Samuels is such a danger to the Black community is because his advice to his male followers is that they're not responsible for their children if the children weren't born during the marriage. Not only that, he also says that men are not responsible to protect their daughters if he is not in the home. Kevin Samuels' male followers are made up of mostly undereducated Black men who are in the tax bracket of the working poor, and he's giving them the green light to be even more degenerate than they have been in the past.
So you get thrust into these adult positions and you're not protected when you're a young girl, and things are allowed to happen because 1 in 3 Black women report having some sort of sexual assault by age 16.
Well, if the men are missing in the home, then that's probably going to happen.
Yeah,
but you got to ask why the men are not in the why. But you got, but see, before you get there, see, we always want to go back to the men. Okay, we want to go back to why the men are missing in the home. Let's find out where there's a kid in the first place with a woman.
So Kevin's message to Black men is that in order for a man to protect his daughter or to keep her safe from other men who may harm or abuse her, the man should first understand why he's not in the home and why he left the home. But if Kevin Samuels was a real man, he would speak on the Black men who are harming these 16-year-old girls. But he doesn't. If Kevin Samuels was a real man, he would put the responsibility on the fathers to protect their daughters, whether they live in the home or not. But he doesn't.
Why was that woman who has a kid not married first?
Yeah, she was, but my mama was married, so that's not her. My mother.
80% of Black children are born out of wedlock.
Right.
So,
but Kevin, this is what I'm saying.
But mine was married.
I think with me and you, the problem was that, yes, I understand your side, but I don't agree with removing men completely from the conversation.
Yeah.
I do understand what you're saying, but I do see in a partnership, you have to examine both sides. You cannot say, well, the women are
80% out of wedlock childbirth, there is no partnership to speak of.
Right. Well, there is, because they're sleeping with somebody.
Yeah.
They're sleeping
with but hold on. Now this is where we're gonna really go off the rails, because I'm sorry. Having sex does not mean you have to have a baby. If a baby happens, it's because a woman wanted to bring one into the world.
It doesn't matter whether the woman decided on her own to keep the baby. The fact is, as soon as the baby takes its first breath, the man becomes a father and has to take the responsibility of a father. It doesn't matter if it was a partnership. It doesn't matter if they were married. It doesn't matter if it was a one-night stand. If the man didn't want to become a father, he should keep his sperm away from the woman. Once he decides to give his sperm to her, she can do whatever she wants with it, and he has to deal with the fact that he may become a father.
That is 100% on women. So you can't talk about a father not being. You cannot talk to me about a father not being in the household when most men are just having sex with women, not wanting to have a kid. See, it would be different. Your argument to me would make more sense that if you're talking about a woman that was married to her husband and then they had a baby in the context of a marriage, and then the marriage dissolved for whatever reason and he's not there.
But that's my case. That happens. Well, let's take my case, because that is my case.
But what I'm saying, ma'am, is that may be your case, but 80% it's not. Why are we talking about the 8 women? Why are we talking about the 2 instead of 8? We're talking about the 2 because we don't like holding women strictly accountable.
A woman being accountable doesn't negate the fact that the man is still responsible. And Kevin himself is an example of why being married does not change the outcome of who is responsible for the child. Over 50% of marriages end in divorce anyway. So how is being married going to make a difference? The child is still the same, whether it was born within a marriage or not. Kevin Samuels was married and had a child within the marriage, but his wife still had to come after him for child support. And that is why child support laws were put in place for men just like Kevin, who think they can just walk away from their financial responsibility of raising their child.
Black women, we cannot keep avoiding doing that difficult work of holding women strictly accountable like everyone else in the world is.
I don't know one gender that has been held strictly accountable for anything that they've done, though. Tell me exactly how men have been held strictly accountable, please.
I will tell you right now. When here's some examples.
Yes.
Look at the family and divorce court. Okay, here's the divorce court. 92% of the time, the children go to the mother. 86% of the time, men are left financially ruined or in a financially worse position. Out of the 2,000 shelters there are for women for domestic violence or abuse, there's only one in the country for men. Men are the majority of the prisoners, majority of the suicides, majority of the ODs, majority of the deaths, men get an incarceration rate sentence when women commit similar crimes 4 times longer.
This is really just a list of all the ways men are degenerate. They're criminals and drug addicts. 2,000 shelters for abused women means that there are a lot of abusive men in the world. So if putting these men in jail is holding them accountable, then yes, they need to be held accountable for their actions.
Let me read something.
There's a lot of resources.
Let me read something. To reproduce and keep the Amazon race alive, the Themyscirans raid ships on the high seas to copulate with men. At the end of mating, they take their lives and throw the men's corpses into the sea rather than marrying them. Triumphant, the Amazons return to Paradise Island, wait 9 months later, then celebrate the birth of their daughters. Some don't. When male children are born, they're thrown into the sea and called failures. Now, if we had called this situation Wonder Man and flipped the genders, what would the world have said? If men were raiding women, raping them, copulating with them, dumping them, and keeping the baby, would we allow that to happen as a society? Much less would we celebrate it? This happens every day with women. Every day you can sexually harass a man. Every day you can be aggressive with a man. Every day you can assault a man. And it's, but then when we talk about holding women accountable, you say, well, in theory, I like it, but the only ones that are going to in practice do it is when women start clamoring that actually it starts happening.
Please listen to the lies and understand why he's saying this. Earlier, he said that 1 in 3 girls are abused before the age of 16 by men. So instead of addressing that, he came up with a fictitious character in a movie to turn the tables on women. Where in reality are women going around sexually harassing and assaulting men? Where?
I think one of the biggest reasons the Black community is at the bottom is because in the 1960s, when the Civil Rights Movement came along, women were enticed to join the ERA, the Women's Struggle, and join with them. And Black women ain't never had the problems of Black men that non-Black or white women have had.
So I guess Kevin Samuels is trying to rewrite history to fit his narrative that Black women are the cause of the Black community being on the bottom. He says during the Civil Rights Movement, women joined the ERA and the feminist movement. Now, when he says things like this, I don't know if he's intentionally lying or if he's ignorant of the facts. Because we all know that in the 60s, the Civil Rights Movement was started by a man. And it was for the purpose of integrating into white society. Once Black people were able to spend their money in white establishments, the Black businesses closed. When the Black businesses closed, the men couldn't sustain their households. The jobs dried up, and that was the beginning of the breakdown of the Black family. The feminist movement didn't begin until the 70s. But more than that, why didn't feminism take the white man out of his home? According to Kevin Samuels, feminism took Black men out of the home and kept them out for 60 years and counting. and they have no idea how to get back in. When men say that women were able to push them around and push them out of their home, what they're really saying is that black men were weak and worthless to black women. And 60 years later, black men are still moaning and crying about it. But in reality, the system pushed black men out of their home, not black women. And that's where they need to focus their aggression. And it's interesting that Kevin told the story of the Amazon women, because the men in that story were weak and worthless to the Amazon women too.
You are the super women of the world, but you are dying alone because of your inability to work with your mirrored counterpart. So when you can look as a black man and see that your mirrored counterpart would not even look at you, we don't need white supremacy, racism, all these other things. We do a good job keeping ourselves at the bottom because the women do not want to submit to a black man's authority in our community.
You have to listen to what Kevin Samuels is actually doing, and that is begging black women to choose and be submissive to black men. But he's not telling black women how that benefits them other than just to have a black man. And what he's trying to do is use reverse psychology on black women, in painting a picture of them dying alone, when in reality, black men are the ones dying alone. So if black men want black women to be submissive to them, they have to provide and build safe spaces and protect the women and children. And these are just the basics of what men do. And if black men refuse to provide and protect, then they are useless to women. And perhaps the Amazon women had the right idea of what to do with worthless black men.